Artificial intelligence is getting better and better every single day. It can program, it can make videos, and it can tell us how to do some really advanced things. But the question I have is, can it tell us where to go hunt? In this video, we're going to go put that question to the test. I'm going to be using a custom application that I've built to query AI, and it's going to help us figure out where to go and hunt. I'm going to be testing out the app on a huge remote plot of land out in upstate New York near the Adirondack region. This area of land is a place that I've been to before, but it's so big that I really feel like I need some help to go and really understand it. The premise of my app is to basically hone in on the area of land that you want to analyze, and then when you run it, it prints out a bunch of locations for you to try out. I ran my app twice and it came up with 8 different locations to check out. Because it's so interesting, I'm going to be using the app to look at how to hunt there. Reviewing the spot that the AI gave us, a consistent theme in the locations that the AI gave us is that it believes that the bears will move along the ridge in low areas to move between a bedding area and also a water source. So without further ado, let's head out to Wolf Lake State Forest in upstate New York. So I got out to Wolf Lake State Forest at around 2:00 p.m. It was a bright, hot, sunny day, and I didn't really expect to see really any animal activity during this day. I'm really just hoping to find sign that the animals are here. So the first thing I did when I got to Wolf Lake State Forest is I headed right down the main trail from the parking lot. I'm headed right away towards a spot that is north of the parking lot, and it describes the spot as targeting the edge of a large wetland complex north of Ames Road, which is the road you come in on. In order to get to this spot, I headed up the trail and then I headed east of the trail and came over the area from a higher elevation. The reason why I did this is because the area near the parking lot directly to the spot is very swampy, so I came down from a area of dry elevation down to the wet area. When I was trying to get to the spot, I noticed that the area coming down to the spot was extremely steep, almost like a cliff, and I needed to find a way to get down to it that wasn't so steep. So I did that. I found a nice ramp down to the spot, and I found a game trail right away on this ramp.
This looks well traveled, but there's not like immediate obvious sign yet.
So I think that animals are thinking the same way I am. Come down a smoother ramp to get to the spot. When I came down to the lower area, what I found was a really nice pine forest and some wet ground that really spoke to me that maybe there's some animals down here. The first thing I saw was game trails. The game trails following off of the sloped area were mostly deer tracks, and I don't know if any bears actually traveled the game trails in this area. I was able to follow game trails through the swamp. My plan was that I wanted to follow the edge of the wet area and eventually make my way northeast, so that's what I did. Heading northeast, I found some terrain that I was not really used to seeing out here in this land. I've never actually been to this exact spot, so when I went and crossed over there, I found some really cool area in the wetlands, and I think that it gave a new life to this location that I wasn't really aware of before. My plan at this point was I wanted to potentially head out to a point that was east of a main swampy area that was going up to the northeast. When I got closer, I realized that perhaps I could link up much better with the other points and save myself some time. I knew I was going to be walking a lot of miles on this day. Walking through, I was between points that the AI called out, and I decided to head to a smaller funnel in between the points. When I went here, I wasn't super happy with what I saw. There really weren't many tracks or game trails, and it was a lot of pine straw that was undisturbed by animal presence. I became confident though, however, when I headed out of this drier area up right next to the swampy area to the east. The swampy area that had been talked about by the AI, that it would be a travel corridor and it would be an area that animals go to for water and also to feed. And so when I headed up here, I did right away find game trails, which is an exciting find.
Here's a pretty well traveled path kind of on the edge of this pondy, like stream corridor area.
Continuing over to my next location, I decided to come out into a small peninsula down the funnel that was talked about in the AI spot. This is where I made my first major bear discovery.
Well, I promise it's not my dog's feet, but this is awesome actually. This is a set of bear tracks here. I mean, it's not a massive bear, but
I found my first bear tracks. So actually, I don't see these tracks very often, but yeah, down here within 100, 200 yards of the spot that the AI called out, I started seeing bear tracks. This bear wasn't huge, but it was certainly a bear, and it looked like it was moving down the terrain funnel that the AI talked about. From these bear tracks, I was excited. I decided to head uphill right towards the spot that the AI called out. When I got to the AI spot, I noticed right away that it was indeed a terrain funnel. When I scanned around, I saw elevation coming up in a clear funnel, but also I found two more things. I noticed that right here, and this couldn't have really been known to the AI, there was an old logging trail, and also to the northwest of the AI spot, there was a beautiful pond and a trail that led right to the pond, meaning that this area could be frequented by both animals that are trying to travel easy through the funnel and also to animals that are trying to visit the swamp for water. Yeah, so I was really happy with the spot. The AI mentioned that it was medium confidence for this area, but given these signs, I decided that this is a probable area. I actually placed a trail cam there. It's currently about 3 or 4 days after placing the trail camera, and I still haven't seen any photos, but bears are a lot more rare than deer. And I did see some white-tailed deer tracks in this location, but yeah, we're hopeful. I'm still hopeful that I will see stuff on the trail camera, but for now, nothing has shown up so far. So coming from a location that got me excited with some bear tracks and also a bunch of different terrain features that looked great, I headed to the north of this location. I had to go down into the swampy area north of my area where I put my trail cam, and I headed up on a ridge system over to the next AI point. The next AI point is on a ridge that goes up to the northeast, and it's also, there's another point on this ridge right nearby. So I'm kind of considering both of them similar, except they call out different terrain funnels. So when I got up there, I didn't really see this terrain funnel on my map, but when I got over there, I noticed that there was indeed a funnel, and it was more significant than I thought just reading the terrain map itself. When I got above the terrain funnel near the AI spot, I started to get a feeling that this was a great spot for animals to travel. I was headed over there to the spot exactly when I heard a major thump and a whack. I noticed that this sound was so loud and sharp that I didn't think it was a tree falling, although it was really just as loud as a big tree hitting the ground.
Up north is actually, holy shit, big tree just fell or something. Whew, nerve-wracking. That was really big sound, and get my bear spray ready just in case.
My intuition for this sound was that it may have been a bear, so I got really nervous right away. I set up on top of a higher location, and I waited to see if I could see anything. I ended up not seeing anything, but me, it was a sign that I believed in this spot. And then a little bit later, I walked over and down the ridge, and I saw what was not exactly the freshest, but probably within a week, some bear scat. And it looked to be probably like a smaller bear or a cub. So now, probably within 200 yards of the previous AI spot, I've also found more bear sign, which is exciting. While I'm moving, I'm constantly thinking about where my next trail camera is going to be. In hindsight, I kind of wish that I placed my second trail cam around this ridge. I think it was fantastic, but I decided not to because I wanted to be really sure if there was another spot that might be better to place my trail camera. Continuing on past this point, I was going to head up to my other spot right on this ridge, but just a bit further northeast, and I was going to go and check that out. When I came up to what was a swamp right next to the first point, I started checking around the swamp for tracks. I continued to find a lot of deer tracks, but no more bear tracks. And headed up, I actually did find a rub for a white-tailed deer, which is exciting to see in this land because I'll also be deer hunting in this location. And from there, from the rub, I moved up to my next location. I came up to my next location and didn't see anything related to bear, so I kept going up towards another swamp. I didn't really find a whole lot of evidence on this northward trek, so I turned around once I got to the swamp and headed back downhill. So as I came back down from the furthest north point, I came back down a different terrain funnel. This terrain funnel seemed to have a lot higher deer activity than what I found when I was going up north, and I ended up finding another deer rub here.
I just found one of these trees like this up a little bit, and I was pretty convinced that it may not be a rub. But looking at this, I mean, this bark is shredded. It's pulled up. I think there's been bucks on this tree.
Coming south from the deer rub, I ended up running into another bear track at the lowest elevation point right next to a swamp. The bear tracks that I found were small yet again, but they were very well defined, and it was so obvious that it was a bear.
Wow. Lucy, no. Look at that. That is awesome. This is 100%. Those are bear tracks. Like small, probably a cub. Could have been the one who made the, if you look real close at them, they're just square.
The bear tracks were heading across the pond area in the mud, and this was within about 50 to 100 yards away from the AI spot, although it wasn't in the exact descriptive area of that spot. Really seeing these tracks so nearby is just another reason that I probably should have set up a camera in this area. When I headed past the bear tracks, I also discovered an enormous amount of deer activity. I didn't see another scrape right nearby, but this was the largest number of deer tracks that I saw, and it looked like deer were stampeding through the area. Well, you can't change the past, and of course I had to move on. I started thinking about the AI spot that was nearby, and I'm going to work on improving the accuracy and the descriptive detail of how the AI spot and how it chooses its location. But in this case, I was a little bit confused. I thought that it was talking about depressions around the spot, but there's also several funnels nearby the spot. I decided to cancel out one more funnel. I wanted to check out a terrain funnel leading off of the pond that was next to the AI spot. So walking west, I entered the funnel. I ended up going up right north to the edge of the pond to see if there was any activity. I saw plenty of deer activity. I was really excited to find more bear tracks in this terrain funnel that was draining off of the pond. However, I didn't really see anything on the way down. What I did find, however, was a very large deer track, probably one of the largest I've seen.
Wow, these are some big tracks. That's gotta be a big buck. I don't know.
and I think I saw multiple of these, and they were very clearly walking directly down this terrain funnel. When I exited the funnel, I had already walked about 5 miles and I was ready to go home. I decided to head further south. I crossed a stream slash pond area and I headed back down the main trail towards my car. Although I was leaving, I still had my trail cam left, and I decided maybe I should go and just head back to the spot near the parking lot, near the wetlands, and I should place my camera. So that's exactly what I did. I headed back to that spot and placed my camera in a place that looks towards the wetlands. As an update, as of about 4 days after visiting this area, still have not gotten any footage on the trail cam. So I haven't gotten any footage on either trail camera, and both areas did have prominent game trails. I think that I'm currently just a bit unlucky here, but you can't always expect to find animals moving through the area all the time, especially it's currently summertime and it's very hot. Animals are not moving quite as much. So not too worried. I'm really excited to see something here because, again, this is remote, near Adirondack territory, and there's definitely both bear and also large deer in this area. So overall, how did the AI do as far as finding hunting spots? Well, I think it did pretty good. I ended up seeing a lot of animal activity on my path through these AI points. Seeing bear tracks while the AI was particularly looking for bears was a great sign. I don't see a lot of bear activity when I go and scout in general, so just to see that they discovered what is essentially a fairly rare animal and where they might be, I think that's a good sign. I also wanted to mention, even though I wasn't particularly looking for white-tailed deer with the AI requests, seeing sign of other animals in spots determined by the AI is actually another testament to the AI. A lot of animals behave very similarly when it comes to avoiding steep terrain and taking the path of least resistance, and also needing water and things like that. So finding white-tailed deer sign and concentrated areas near the AI points is another great piece of evidence. So yeah, while we didn't have any trail cam pictures yet, we did see a lot of sign, and it also got us out connecting these dots, which puts us in front of a lot of different terrain so that we can understand an area better. So yeah, thank you for checking out the test of does artificial intelligence work for finding hunting spots. This is it for this area, but we're going to follow up with any trail camera pictures we got in hopefully short video content and others. So yeah, please like, share, comment, follow, subscribe. Keep in touch if you want to see more of this type of content. Thank you so much for watching.